Okay, so just want to go through some of the. It has been like a wild ride for everybody, and we have not just for BTS but for armies. I think this last 2 years, and we have 6 more months before everyone actually completes their service. I'm so excited. I think as soon as January 1 hits, I'm just going to start losing my mind. Like this is the year they're going to return. But I think it has been I've learned a lot from them in the last 2 years when they have been releasing their own stuff, pushing the envelopes, experimenting with their art, getting to know themselves, presenting us with something new. I think they have accomplished a lot for themselves, but also for the Asians in general. I think they've helped us in so many ways, and I think it's just but right for us to appreciate what they have accomplished. One thing, it's not always celebrated. There's so much focus on records, sales, being number one this, most streamed that, but that we rarely really give attention to the actual thing that they have achieved, like how they've actually made a difference and made an impact. And that's what I'm sort of concentrating on. So in this part, I just want to look back at some of the most important effects or impacts that they have made, most important achievements, but not necessarily in quantitative terms, but that what they have been able to accomplish, not just for themselves, but for Asians in general. Number one, I think because of what RM did, he was able to introduce K-pop and Asian pop to critical thinkers like art critical thinkers through his RPWP documentary and his album. We all know that he pushed himself to create this based on the documentary itself. He pushed himself to create the documentary and the album simply because he felt initially that if he doesn't do this, he's going to lose the momentum once he comes back um, after serving the military. So he didn't want to lose the momentum. And that's why he decided to do this. And in the process, I think he realized that there was more to it than just him wanting to keep his momentum going. There was so much pent up emotions, things that he wasn't able to express, and also things that he wasn't able to experience when he was leading BTS. So, but through that, he was able to present to the critical thinkers the other side of the often ignored side of Asian pop artists. And that side is the cerebral side, the very, very intelligent side. That we're not just about pop and we're not just about fads. We're not just about cuteness and great dance steps or dance routines, but we're also there's so much substance and there's so much meaning to the words that they don't understand. So I think that is an important achievement because it's going to inspire a lot of critics to give Asian music and Asian films a better look, uh, more effort to try and understand what we're actually saying, even if they don't understand the language. And it's all thanks to RM. So that's why I hope eventually we give enough credit to RM, that enough people will talk about just how important the awards that he has won is. That he has the awards that he has won are. So, for example, it is one of the most critically acclaimed, if not the most critically acclaimed Korean album and Korean documentary of all time. It has been named as a contender for Record of the Year by so many publications, from Billboard to AP to Consequence of Sounds to Rolling Stone to NME. All of them felt that the album actually deserves to be nominated in the Grammy and many other award shows. It wasn't nominated, but I think it speaks a lot about the quality of the work if you have an almost unanimous praise, an almost unanimous assessment of the album that it deserves to be a contender for album of the year, record of the year. Second achievement, I think, is V has been able to achieve. I feel like at this stage he really is breaking away from K-pop. I think if there is one member who is going to be able to first establish himself outside of, like, really plant himself solid in another genre, I think it's going to be V, and it's going to be in the jazz genre. It all started with his first album. No, sorry, it all started before he even created his first album. He has always been a lover of jazz, and then he continued in his first album. So for those people who are saying that the first album that he released was all thanks to the other person that he worked with, no, we all know that he has always been in love with jazz, that this has always been the other genre that he wanted to pursue, and he did. And then with Friends, and then finally with White Christmas being invited by the estate of Bill Crosby, I think it speaks volumes of how of his potential and the actual respect that he can garner in that genre. Also, I don't think he's the first K-pop artist to actually try jazz, but he is the first K-pop artist to be accepted, like to be actually to have his at least one foot inside the door. Um, so yeah, I think if we're going to be honest, I think he's going to be the first one. He has the chance of being the first member to actually really completely break away, establish an identity that's purely um, outside of K-pop. Mickey, happy birthday! Happy birthday! Next is JK. A lot of He gets a lot of flack for having a lot of collaborators in his album. He has Lado, Jack Harlow. He had remixes of other of his songs. But if we actually be honest, if we are just being honest, the truth is that the other artists that he collaborated with are nowhere near his commercial power. And I think that was the key. And I think it was a conscious decision as well for Bang Shiuk, for Jungkook, for Bang Shiuk, and for Scooter Braun to make sure that his collaborators will not be more powerful than he is, so that nobody can steal the achievement from him. So this is one time when you know that it was Jungkook who used the formula instead of the formula using the Korean artist. In here, he knew what he did was simply get an artist, get a partner, get a collaborator that is already in radio, because that's what he needs. The other aspects, he got it covered. Streaming, trending, sales, he got those covered. The one thing that he didn't have any power over is radio. And so they got him collaborators that are already in radio, that has enough push in radio, but isn't as big as he is in other aspects. And so even if his number one Billboard Hot 100 song has a collaborator, it you can't say that it was because of the collaborator, because it's bigger than the collaborator. So, and this is one formula that no one has been able to use successfully yet, because so far all other collaborators of other artists have been bigger, outside of BTS, have been bigger than the Korean artist. So this is one strategy that worked only because it was Jungkook. Georgia is saying Jack Harlow is up there in the commercial power, at least in the US. I would agree that he is probably the most popular among, well, he is popular. I'll put it that way. He is popular. But if you look at his streams, he is being outstreamed by a mile by Jungkook. Um, I Jungkook can sell out a stadium. I have no doubt. I don't think Jack Harlow can sell out a stadium. He could probably sell out an arena, probably, but not a stadium. So that only proves that the commercial power is on Jungkook. What they have, the advantage that they have is radio. Halina said V does not need any collaborations. He's perfect by himself. None of them actually, yes, I agree with you, and none of them actually um, needs any collaborator. Then there's the rise of Korean hip hop. Hip hop, Korean, it is, I think we all know that hip hop is a genre that is owned by African Americans, and it's almost impossible to be compared to any kind of genre because it's so unique in how it came about in the development of. It's just such a unique genre. So it is understandable that that genre will forever be connected and identified with African Americans. So it is the what Suga did, being able to sell out all stadiums, the arenas, being able to sell out the entire tour is monumental by itself because he is the first legit Korean rapper who has been able to make a significant mark in the US. He's not the first foreign rapper. You have Bad Bunny. Um, uh, there is many other Latin artists that are rappers who made their mark. So Asians, though, because of the stereotypes, because of the image of Asians, we were never a pinch hitter for hip hop. So for Suga to be able to be acknowledged by Korean critics and to be able to establish his commercial power in the US, that is the proper introduction of Korean hip hop to the West. Now, will he be able to push it to heights similar to African American rappers? I don't think so. As I've said, the genre is very much identified with African Americans. The history is so identified with African Americans that it's I you know the entire genre is because of the history of African Americans. But I think with his achievement, he has been able to um, establish just how much respect Asian rappers or Asian hip hop can actually get. Um, Someone Epic High, Joy said Epic High was moved to a smaller venue in Chicago. Oh, I did not know. Still with BTS said, Bang PD recently spoke about how he and BTS have changed the way GP views Asian culture. RM transcended K-pop long ago. I'm excited for Jazz Journey, V's Jazz Journey. So this, I think, is it, not, just like RM, Suga isn't getting enough credit for what he has been able to accomplish for Korean hip hop. For him to have, and if you look at the venues, it's not like dominate. It's not even highly dominated by females. If you look at the venues, it's like a good 30 to 40% men. So you know that he is getting enough respect from the core of the genre. I have nothing against female fans. I've always thought that women have good taste in music. So, but I think we need to accept that there is, because of the history of hip hop, how it came about, its development, there will always be that core fans, and he has been able to garner enough respect from them. So just like RM, I think he deserves more respect than what he's getting for what he has been able to accomplish. Next is establishment of legit US presence. Um, I have to confess that I'm one of those who never really counted, uh, who missed, I think as a proper term, the who missed the actual potential of Jimin in the US. That is why, just like everybody else in the industry, I was so shocked when he got number one in Billboard Hot 100. I never imagined that he would be able to. Not even in my wildest imagination would I have been able to imagine that kind of a scenario. Him getting number one, it's not an easy thing. If it is, everyone would have done it. Um, but the mere fact that he was able to do it without any legit radio support in the US was amazing enough. And then came Who, and I think he by now he has been able to establish just how strong he is in the US, which is not a very easy market. That's not an easy thing to to solidify, basically. um Instead of him peaking, in face in Like Crazy, it almost feels as if it feels as if Like Crazy was actually a preamble to what he actually has in store. It's a preamble to his actual US power. Um, the mere fact that Who is now being supported almost purely by streams. He's not getting a lot of sales, and he's not getting a lot of radio support, like almost no radio support. Uh, I think it's time that people just admit that there is something about Jimin in the US. There's just something there that is not being tapped yet. We all know that it's not being tapped because he doesn't have the opportunity. He's serving in the military, But I think this one, he was here with Who, he was able to legitimately prove his US presence. I was actually going back to some of the records they were established because I'm compiling it for my Patreon. Um, and I realized that Filter actually entered Billboard Hot 100. I think it was the first or the highest ranking a solo song among the members during that era. So I was like, I should have gotten a clue. But anyway, yeah, I think it's about time for people to just really acknowledge and see that there is Jimin in the US. There's like a love affair brewing there. Um, if there is anybody who really pushed his limits creatively by he pushed his limits by actually going back to his foundation, it would be J Hope, because he didn't just create. It was I never imagined he would create something like Jack in the Box. Like, of all the things he could have done, that's the one direction I did not expect him to go. I remember him saying, I think he was in the process of creating Jack in the Box when he said that when he created Hope World, he thought he would be able to establish his creative identity, and he felt like he didn't. And so that's why he had to push it all the way into the other direction with Jack in the Box. So I felt like this was just like he when I heard that, and when I saw Jack in the Box, the first thought in my mind was like, oh, J Hope has issues. It's like, he has issues and he's dealing with it creatively, which is a good thing, of course. So I he demonstrated just how much you can push creatively. And I don't think anybody has pushed anything creatively as hard as he did. So after Jack in the Box, he did Hope on the Street. So those are three different projects from three different extreme opposites in terms of directions, the spectrum that he was able to cover. And I think he's laying sort of the foundation, or he's creating a template, so to speak, for other artists or other idols to follow if they want to establish, where first, if they want to discover their creative identity, and second, if they want to establish their um their creative blueprint. Like, this is the blueprint, this is the template that they can follow. There a question? I thought I saw a question. MK said, Many people don't like rap except for BTS rap." Halina said, I love Jack in the Box. It was a surprise, but a nice surprise. It was absolutely. I did not expect Jack in the Box at all. I did not expect this was the kind of album someone from K-pop, yeah, well, he came from K-pop. He isn't anymore, but like a K-pop idol would actually ever come out with. Darren is asking, did Jimin gain some footage with Western fans as Fast and Furious soundtrack? I don't think so. If I'm being honest, Fast and the Furious actually used Jimin and not the other way around. And it was the wrong way to go, in my opinion, for Fast and the Furious. If I felt like, dude, if you wanted to use the commercial pool of Jimin, you should have made Jimin the main artist, and then made everybody else the support. Then you will get the support of Jimin, like the kind of support that Jimin is getting right now. Um, but instead they sort of gave him the minimum in that, well, not the minimum, because he had equal parts with other artists. So I correct myself, it's not really the minimum, but he had equal parts with other singers in the album, in the song. It's just that I felt that, um if they had given him more parts, they would have gotten the kind of pull that they were looking for. And this is a common mistake among people in the West when they're trying to collaborate with BTS. They feel like, okay, I'll give you the minimum, and that should be enough for you to get. That's not how it goes. You have to, number one, that is true. Me Too is correct that you need to give them a good song first. If you don't want them to write the song, you need to give them a good song first. It has to be a great song. Second is that you need to give them a considerable part in the creation of the song and in the song itself. um I wouldn't call the song terrible. Angel is not terrible. I do like the hook. I just don't, not the hook, the chorus. I just don't like the rest of I feel like Jimin could have written a better melody, quite honestly. But anyway, that's my view. I don't think he gained any new fans. I think it was the other way around. They kind of used him to gain some traction for the song, but they did it so wrongly. Leia said 5 artists was too many on Angel Part 1. Correct. I agree. Okay. Next is, oh, sorry. The text is actually behind. I wasn't able to arrange my slides well. So what's written here is that this is Jin could actually be the most successful Korean artist with a band concept. And I think if he actually pushes through in in experimenting with this genre, he could be a legit pop rock star all on his own. And this is all about pushing their creativity, but also about finding his identity. And for him to actually conquer the pop rock genre, it would be monumental, because there's a lot, because he could pave the way for other bands from Korea, because there are a lot of great bands from Korea that are not getting the attention because they don't have a torchbearer. And Jin could be that for them. So I know Jin said that he doesn't want that now and forever. He BTS will be the only band he will ever be a part of, and am so happy to hear that. I respect him for it. If he changes his mind in the future, I will totally understand, but I do believe him. But I hope that he will at the very least continue pushing himself into that. Like maybe even a session band will be okay, but I hope that this is not the last of him, of pop rock from him, that we will ever hear, because I feel like he can conquer it. And once he does, he can actually pave the way for other pop rock acts from Korea and eventually from Asia. Beth said Jin is great at rack. I'm sorry, I was in a hurry. I guess I did not arrange my slide well, but that's what's written at the back of this. Okay. Next, that I think that they've really proven, and this is more about them than anything else, but it's really their bankability. So from the highest grossing tour to number one in streaming to breaking records and Billboard, the group has proven that they can hack it on all on their own. There are a lot of other Korean acts, K-pop acts in particular, that are sort of trying out new things and trying out becoming a solo act. But no one has come close to the bankability and the commercial success of BTS. And I think this is going to be important as they as they reunite as a group, and when they eventually come back to doing solo activities. They may be probably the only group in history where each member will be equally commercially successful. And when I say equally commercially successful, I'm not talking about each member having equal gross revenue, right? Because as I've said, I think the kind of genre that RM is pursuing, it will never be as commercially profitable as pop, because just because of the nature of the genre. But it's equivalent. The success will be equivalent. I also love the fact that they actually uh, gained music fans, like actual music fans. I know that a lot of people, especially if you're in OT7, you don't like the idea of one member having fans of their own, like members that are just their fan, like, sorry, fans that are just a fan of one member. But I think it's a good thing. And I also think it's natural, especially if you're good in the genre that you're pursuing, because that means that you are actually become you're being acknowledged in what you are doing. So I think it is healthy that if you actually curate your timeline well, your account well in social media, you will find that there are more people that are becoming fans of one or two members, that are just fans of the members, not necessarily of BTS, because of the quality of the music that they are presenting. And there are a lot of them, like they're not really concerned about fan wars or this or that. They're just like, I like this, I like Jungkook, you know, that's who they like. I like Jimin, or I like Suga, or whatever, and that's who they like. And I think that's a good thing. So I think if you're able to really curate your social media profile, your timeline on Twitter, your home in YouTube, you will actually eventually find all these fans that are just really fans of the member, not really getting involved in fan wars. They're not even K-pop fans. They're just like music fans, pop fans, or whatever. So I think that's a very important achievement. The one thing I don't like is that it has become a weapon for toxic solo fans. Like whatever one member does becomes a reason for them to hate. I don't, at this rate, this solo toxic fans, I just want to make it very clear that I'm in touch with many solo fans, fans with biases, fans who are just rooting for one member. I am in constant communication with many of them, and many of them are just like, they just don't care about the other members. They just like one member, and I'm okay with that, for as long as you're not bad mouthing other members, for as long as you're not saying vile things about other members. I'm good with you. So I just want to make that distinction. There are toxic solo fans, and then there are just like fans with biases, or fans of one member. So the bad thing is that while we have these fans that are just rooting for one member, we also have fans that have just made it their life mission to badmouth other members, and to badmouth Big Hit, and to accuse Big Hit and Hybe and whoever of mistreating their favorite, and whoever. So that is the only bad thing that I feel resulted from the boys, from the kids having their own solo careers. Other than that, I love the direction that they took. I love their growth creatively, and I am loving where they are growing as solo artists. If at all, I hope that they continue pushing, and I hope that they continue um, trying out new things. I feel like, based on the interview of J Hope, just based on the clips that are being sent to me, like screen caps of the interview, I feel like he's working with outside producers, which I think is good. Um, that is going to give him a chance to further grow. So I hope they continue doing that. Um and and I also hope that they continue, or they start doing things that are really outside their wheelhouse, like really try out new things. I do think that they have so much more skill and talent, and they have so much more to offer that they haven't really tapped into yet, but I'm looking forward to that. That is my view. What is your favorite part in their solo venture in chapter 2? Real armies know that BTS is seven, and that the members support each other and are happy for their success. Of course, they are, absolutely. Let's see if there are questions that I can answer. How come Bang Luna said, Anita, I think a lot of them are cosplayers. Elizabeth said, Soul YG, that was a quote RM told Jackson Wang when he was going through a bad time. MK, respect is essential, otherwise the members will get hurt. Beth said, I think it is reasonable that each gains solo fans because they are exploring their own styles. What is unreasonable is when those fans expect the member to remain solo. Yeah, I think those fans that are just insisting that they leave Big Hit, that they remain solo artists, that are hating on other members, I don't really think they're fans necessarily of that member. I think they're just using BTS as an outlet for their frustration of, and as an outlet because they have their own issues. But I don't think those are real fans. I think real fans will first and foremost appreciate the art and will leave the artist with, will respect the decision of the artist in whatever direction they take their career. Okay. P Dog is getting more competition. He has no competition. Do you think they will make a movie? I hope so. I've always hoped and I've always thought that they're going to create a BT21 first. They're going to do a BT21 animated movie. I also thought that they're going to do a Chacos movie, animated movie. So, and then I've always thought that they're going to do a movie for the Young Forever series, the most beautiful moment in life series. So I don't know if all of them will act, but I do know that movies and films, that's in their horizon. I just don't know what kind of participation they're going to be doing. If I am to guess, I feel like one is going to do musical direction. At least one of them will do musical direction, and probably another one will do direction. Like he's going to direct the movie. But can we talk about how Wildflower made me cry? Oh, how Wildflower made me cry. I am a BTS army who loves all of them with a bias line. Who's your bias line, Leia? Miki said, agree. My friend became a fan of Jungkook, but she supported Namjoon, so I have been helping her with BTS content. Darren said Leia sounds like a good name of a band. What is a good name of a band? Okay, chapter two, no censors. No more BT21 stickers. That's what chapter two is about.